How do you find a purpose?
Great question, Mac. My father's friends introduced me to the drug life. I got caught up in distribution.
I spent my entire life until last November. I didn't even know I had trauma.
Watching my mother be the recipient of what I didn't realize at the time was abuse. I sat in my bedroom. I thought about the repercussions. I'm going to throw away everything. I'm going to go to jail. I plotted out that I was going to kill my father, that I was going to take his life.
I think I can see the world from here. I think I can see the world from this dark bed. I'm gonna make the world appear, and I'm gonna see the blue skies above me, and I'm gonna touch the greenest grass, and I'm gonna feel the wind upon my skin from this air-conditioned flat, from this air-conditioned flat.
Happy day, family and friends. You know who you are. If not, here's how you can tell. You're a friend if you casually tune in for the chase. And that's okay. We love that. But you're family if you tune in and you subscribe to the chase. Because you know how it goes. There are little perks that comes with being family, right? So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and follow the chase. And if this episode impacts you in any way, form, or fashion today, please don't hesitate to pass it along to the people you say you love and you care about. All right? Why? Because that's what family does. Let's get to chasing. See you at the reunion. What's up and hello, I am your host and proud girl dad, Neko Parham.
Hi, Daddy.
That is my favorite sound in the world. Fellas, we are here.
Yup.
Yes,
The
sir.
crew is here. I'm here with my brothers from another mother, Max and Caleb Hall.
Yo.
It's been a journey, ain't it?
It has.
For you guys out there, family out there with us today, joining us for our Hello premiere episode, right? Woo! Yeah. Just a little bit of a backstory real quick. So, because I know Max and Caleb, they'll be, they won't share it all, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. These guys are not just my co-hosts. They are actually producers on this show. And yeah, they're producers on this show, Air Pound.
Yup,
and,
come on.
And we actually are in partnership with this amazing, great venture that we put together called Birth Mob Media.
Birth Mob Media. That's
Yeah.
right.
You know, the only difference, I think, between what it's usually like when we get together for Birth Mob or whatever and what we're doing right now is we turn some cameras on.
Right.
So I'm excited just to get our energy out into the World Wide Web.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get Coach Neko out to the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is going to be great.
Yeah, I have not been as excited for a project as this one in a very long time. As a creative, I'm constantly looking for areas to pour my heart into. As an extrovert, I'm looking for someone to talk to. So this is the ideal
I love
medium. I think you can probably relate to that.
Oh, I love it because here's the thing. For me, like this was a partnership in the making years before we even met, right? And, Max and I are just 10 years shy of knowing one another, right? So disclaimer, I am a acting coach. I am a youth mentor. Well, used to be youth. I mentor everybody now, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, 30-year-olds, right? So being in this space now, doing this as a legit platform to the world, it's really a continuation of what I've been doing for the past 25 years. I started in New York, training and teaching young people on this journey of finding purpose through arts, through acting, through dance, through whatever form of art it was, and then moving to Los Angeles and doing the same thing. But nothing has been more fulfilling than being back in my own backyard of the one and only ATL.
Atlanta, Georgia.
So it's a beautiful thing to be at home doing this, but to be doing it with you guys.
Yeah.
Because who knew?
When I walked into your studio, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Who knew what was going to come from that? We walked in, you gave us the pitch of your acting process and training methods.
That's crazy.
It seems like eons ago.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 18.
You had none of this facial hair stuff now.
No,
Yeah.
no, this is new. I slipped and fell in some dirt on the way in.
Now you're pushing 30, huh?
I'm
That's
not.
pretty
No,
crazy,
I'm not
huh?
pushing 30. I wouldn't say that.
Late mid-20s. You
Yeah.
like to say?
No, but I love it though, and I'll always be grateful to God that He brought us together. We don't consider ourselves just friends, and boys, like, we're family.
Yeah, brothers.
We're brothers. You know what I'm saying? And we're united in so many different ways. Just the creative.
Yeah.
Brought us together. Like we're like. Let me tell y'all real quick. These two cats, they're gonna be modest. I'm telling you, but they are so daggone talented.
Thank you.
The music that you heard at the top of this thing, they wrote that. They wrote that theme song, and they're gonna have a lot of more great music coming out of this. All right, so stay tuned for all of that.
Get ready.
Yeah.
Get ready. Check it out. So I want us to kick this off with what we call give them their flowers, right? Give them their flowers, and give them their flowers is basically this segment we want to do every episode, and we want you guys, family, friends out there, to get involved too, right? And basically what Give Them Their Flowers is an opportunity for Max, Caleb, and I, and the wonderful guests that we're going to be having join the show.
Yes.
I forgot to say that earlier. We're going to have some amazing, amazing guests for you guys throughout this podcast season. You're going to be blown away. Some you know and love already,
Yes.
and some you will meet for the first time and grow to love and know. So stay tuned for that, right? But in this segment of Give Them Their Flowers, we basically want to think about the people or the person who has given you that certain something of inspiration that has brought you to this place, this moment, this Kairos moment, right? Caleb, who is that for you? The person you want to give them their flowers right now, on air.
Yeah. I mean, mine's actually interesting. You'll see the full circle moment, but I want to give my flowers to Greg Farah. He goes by Stu. It's his nickname. We'll call him Greg Farah, though. My dad's childhood best friend and current best friend. We talk a lot, and we started talking a lot recently, within the past few months, about God, about purpose. I was going through a time of life where I was questioning what my purpose was. Did I even have a purpose? So we started talking about that. It was a time where God had removed a lot of things in my life that I was clinging on to. Kairos moment. Get into that later.
Talk about it, yeah.
But yeah, Stu really helped me understand my true purpose is found once I let go of everything and only hold on to God, which is where I got my phrase for the year, seek God, not fulfillment. And full circle moment, here I am now, co-hosting a podcast about purpose and more fulfilled than I've ever been.
Come on, somebody.
So, shout out Stu, Greg Farah.
Shout out Stu, Greg.
I'll text you today.
Love it.
Yeah, I want to give a vibrant bouquet of yellow lilies to this guy, Christopher Escobar. Full disclosure, I have no idea who this person is. But apparently he owns the Plaza Theater here in Atlanta. This guy should probably charge me rent because of how much I go there. But it's the oldest operating theater in Atlanta. And it looks old. When you walk in, you get the feeling that you're like you entered a time machine and you're in 1970. It's like
It's awesome.
You sit in the middle of that theater, you have the same experience that someone had in 1975 watching Jaws for the first time, because they'll put some old movie on the screen.
Right.
It just really is a reset for me to go to that theater. I'm a huge fan of the Plaza Theater. I want to shout out that guy, Christopher Escobar. Whoever he is, he's doing a great job with the Plaza Theater.
Shout out Chris Escobar.
That's great.
That's dope. That's dope. So for me, I'm gonna break the rule for the first
Please
time.
do.
I said one person, but I couldn't get around the idea of two people, two women in particular, for me, that I want to give their flowers to before we kick this thing off. One is my first cousin. She's like my sister. right? We grew up together, and she supported and inspired me to like really take this serious. Like, no, all the stuff you've been doing for 20 something years, training young people and inspiring and pouring into young people, like continue it on. Continue that journey on. Like use the permission-free platforms that we have now, right?
Yeah.
To actually get your message out there and inspiring the world, right? And so without her, I don't know if I would have really took it serious. Like, do this for real. Like, start a podcast with your boys and like, you know. So she was a great push, not a shove, but a real push of support. So thank you, Dr. Sharon Monaghan. I love you for life. Secondly, this woman, most of you know. Now, I will go ahead and just disclaim this, that's right, because most podcast hosts don't shout out other podcast hosts for whatever those reasons are. It's kind of like we come from, you know, from the television world, you know. So if you're on this network, you don't shout out the other network, right? I don't know why, because we all inspire each other. So I'm going to break that rule this morning, and I have to give flowers to the one and only Mel Robbins.
Come on, Mel.
Without Mel Robbins, girl, we would not be here in this moment right now without you, Mel.
Yeah.
We would not be here in this moment without you, Mel. Seeing you on what is my favorite podcast, which is The Pivot, with those marvelous and wonderful hosts on The Pivot. Shout out to you, brothers. You know who you are. Watching you that day on that show, on that episode that they had, it changed my life. Wow. Because you simply came on and started with like, here's where my story begins. And I was all ears. And by the end of that episode, I was all heart.
That's great.
I was so tuned into you, Mel, and I have not stopped tuning into you since. So Mel Robbins, the one and only, I give you your flowers today.
Shout out, Mel.
Shout out, Mel.
Yeah.
That's great.
Now, we can talk about what this whole Kairos thing is. Chasing Kairos, right? So Kairos, for those of us who don't know what it is, Kairos is simply defined as an appointed time. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper, God's appointed time.
Yep.
I classify it in this simple sense of like, your time to shine.
Yeah.
It's right. It's when you're journeying through life and you realizing like, oh, life is a process. I'm going through some things, right? Some things are happening. And I think because it's painful that it's not a good thing. But those are actually Kairos moments. So think about it right now for yourself. Just pause and like the times you've gone through life and you've hit like a brick wall, whether it be with friends, be with family or whatever. And you realize like, wow, this is painful. This hurts. This is this. Everything's down, dark. No, those are beautiful Kairos moments, right? Like Caleb, you told me this really interesting story of just the place you were in before you decided like, I need something different in my life.
Yeah.
Like just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess a little bit of my background. I went to college, Georgia State University, GSU, go Thurs, shout out. Studied English for some reason. The reason is COVID. COVID hit, I was at home, I needed to choose a major, chose English. And then found myself in the corporate world. I was doing social media, and I was a business development manager at a car dealership. Not unexpected.
Spiffy.
Yes, spiffy. And I was at a place where I had these dreams and aspirations. I'm a musician, I'm an actor, and I wanted to, that was my plan. My whole life was to explore those things. But I found myself in this corporate world, and I just felt this longing to pursue the dream, to do what I felt like I was here to do. Maybe a longer story for another time, but basically after a lot of consulting with God, he told me it's time to quit. He's like, get out, quit the corporate job, as hard as it was. So I quit the job, became unemployed, and then was like, all right, well, you got me to quit my job. Now what? Sitting around like I have no clue what to do next. I was in a relationship at the time. That ended. So now I lost my relationship.
Unemployed in the relationship.
Basically,
those.
the lowest of lows it's what John Mayer said, quarter life crisis at 24.
You were, like you said, stuck in this corporate space that you really didn't want to be in, and you realize like, oh, there's something more, man. Like
Right.
I'm so unfulfilled.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And what I'm hearing is that it's that sense that we all get through in life at some point where we pause to realize, because we're kind of in a bit of an identity crisis, right? Mm-hmm. Max, you and I have talked about this in the past for a good spell, but it just makes me think about like when God is trying to get you to a new identity, out of your comfort zone, right? It's what you guys have heard me say before in the past, like true vision. True vision is when God introduces you to the you that you haven't met yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, that can be scary,
Yes.
right? It's definitely transforming, but it can be so scary because you're now walking into this new space of ambiguity, right? And the human brain detests, hates, does not like ambiguity.
Yes.
Right?
It avoids it.
Absolutely. We just clamor for clarity. Right? We do. We clamor for clarity, and clarity literally is the foundation to success
Yeah.
of anything. Success in a relationship, clarity. I bombed that one. I'm a year and a half divorced, and it's one of the most heartbreaking things ever. But in that, I realized my lack of clarity on the inside of that, right? And how that really messed with my identity. That's just relationship. But think about career,
Yeah.
purpose. When we don't have clarity of something, it goes against like the innate nature that God created us to be. Like, well, give us some sense. Help us to make sense of what this is, right? And once I realized, like, life really is about that journey of step one, getting some clarity. But I believe that first step in getting clarity is totally tied into identity.
Yeah.
Spiritual identity first, though. Right? I'm talking about that place that challenges you to say, hold up, where am I?
Yeah.
Like the moment you just said, you explained, that's what that was. She was like, wait a minute, I'm in this corporate job.
Yeah.
I am not happy. I am not fulfilled. Where am I?
Yeah.
And that where am I question, it starts to hit you in a place where you're like, hold up, wait a minute, let
Yes.
me really
Yes.
figure
Right. And
out.
a lot of times to discover where you are, you'll get removed from wherever you are and put
Yep.
into a place of you have no clue where you are whatsoever. At least that's what happened to me, But again, I mean that's moments of Kairos. That's moments of I may have wanted to forget the period where I was kind of just felt like I was floating around in space, no purpose. But that was the moment where I actually discovered where I am.
Yeah.
How do you find a purpose? How do you find a purpose that's strong enough to get you through the train tracks of life?
Listen, before we go any further, Chasing Kairos podcast, every social media site you can think of, Instagram, and whatever else you can think of.
TikTok.
YouTube, Facebook. Go follow it. Go subscribe, like, comment, send us messages. We might shout you out on the podcast, answer your question. You never know. So follow us. Let's get chasing.
Leave the comments. We love the comments. We want to engage with you. Leave the comments for certain.
Facts.
Great question, Max. Yeah. I mean, I think you ask a question that so many people outside of these walls, want to know, and it is a journey. I will start by answering that question this way, right? There's work to be done in unlocking thoughts that we each have that have been holding us hostage most of our lives, right?
Yeah.
Now, those thoughts come in the form of how you framed trauma from your past,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
The thoughts that have held you hostage from an incident, a circumstance, a person,
Yeah.
right? That has truly held you hostage for so long, and you did not even realize, like, wait a minute, I've literally lived my whole entire life based off of that situation that person caused in my life.
Yeah.
And that's the problem right there. We frame it as they caused something, opposed to, like you said earlier, Caleb, those are Kairos moments that allow us to turn trauma into triumph,
Yes.
right? I'll give you a picture, right? I'll give you a picture of what that looks like for me. At age 16, I was a sports cat. I loved sports. I loved art. I was an artistic kid, right? I loved writing. I would come in from outside playing with my friends, and I would literally come into my room and sit, write in my journal. What I didn't know at the time, it was me writing poetry. I just wanted things that sounded good and rhymed and stuff like that. And that was my outlet. It was like my creative, outlet, right? And it led to me wanting to get into this world of acting, right? Now, I didn't start the journey of acting because I grew up, around the theater, or wanting to, to be on the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
That's not what got me into acting. I found acting, or maybe I should say acting found me as an escape of trauma.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was able to escape the trauma that I was living via acting. Now, that trauma for me was early in my life. Early years of my life, I grew up with my grandmother. My grandmother raised me, right? Simply because my parents were young. My parents were only 17 years older than I was, right?
Oh, wow.
They still
know
are.
that.
Only 17 years old. Yeah, they didn't get older.
That didn't change.
That didn't change. But when I started to live with them, my father was this is in the 80s, growing up in Atlanta in the 80s. My father was a very functional and sometimes fun coke addict. Obviously, that causes problems in a household, in a home. And watching my mother be the recipient of what I didn't realize at the time was abusive. It was abuse, and as a child watching, not knowing, growing day after day in that space, and then connecting with my father as son differently than how he connected with my mother as spouse, it became a strange dichotomy for our household. And that part of my father's life, unfortunately, got me connected in a way to where my father's friends introduced me to the drug life. Now, I've never taken drugs, but I got caught up in distribution.
Wow.
For a short time.
Yeah.
Because that was always God tapping me too. Like, no, this is not for you.
Yeah.
This is not for you, right? But as that part of my life started to unfold, and I realized, like, there's something more. There's something more, but I'm struggling to figure out what that more is. And the more I struggle with left or right, I started to dismantle in my mind my father and I's relationship to where he became a picture of hate for me.
Wow.
Yeah, if I could put it that's a heavy word.
Yeah.
Especially in a place that we're here talking about love, but I've gotten to this great love for my father, because I was in such a dark place with who he is. What he represented for me is the person who made the most important person in my life cry. Right? That's what he represented.
Wow.
He made my mother cry, and she was the most important person in the world to me, and I couldn't deal with that anymore. I couldn't tolerate that anymore. So on that journey, at age 16, I plotted out that I was going to kill my father. True story. That I was going to take his life. I made the plan. I sat in my bedroom. I thought about the repercussions. I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to throw away everything that God's been tapping at me, saying like, hey, there's more. There's more. You matter. There's more. I'm going to throw it all away. But guess what? I was okay with that.
So you had accepted, you knew what your future was going to be, and you accepted that. And you were
I
fine
accepted
with
it. I was totally fine because I had made a decision that I was going to do that.
Wow.
Now, in the midst of that, I always say to myself, because there are not many people that know this story that I'm telling. You guys know of it now. Our family out there listening knows it now. I just told my mother and my younger brother this only 5 years ago.
Wow.
My father will find out if he listens or when he listens to the podcast, right? So I've never shared any of this, but I was very aware at the time, like, this is going to ruin my life. But I framed it in a sense now that, this is crazy. Stevie Wonder saved my life. Because the night that I plotted to kill my father, I sat on the rug in my bedroom and I was listening to, don't ask me why, a 16-year-old kid from Atlanta was sitting listening to Stevie Wonder in the songs in the key of life. Yeah. You know, don't ask me why, but I was, right?
Wow.
On a record player, right? And there's a song on that album called Saturn. We can't play it here, but family, go listen to the song. It'll make total sense to you later. It's called Saturn. The lyrics to that song, wow. I didn't expect this to make me emotional, but even thinking about it now, the lyrics to that song is talking about just us as humankind desiring to be and live in a better world. That song did something to me. All bets of hate were off the table.
Wow.
God used that song to spare not only my dad's life, but spare my life. That was one of the single most greatest Kairos moments for me to this day.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow.
It took you reframing that night, that all those events that came from your upbringing with your father to get to this place where you are now. It took that reframe, because without the reframe, you would have never realized what that moment represented and what it did for you.
Yeah.
And send you on the
crazy.
journey of purpose.
Yes.
It catapulted me, Max, on a journey of purpose, right? But it didn't end just there, because I realized then there's some spirit work that I got to do.
Right.
At age 16.
Yeah.
I was still angry with him because his lifestyle didn't change, because I had a new transformation in my life, right? So there was some reckoning that I had to go through, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to leave home. Next year was college.
Yeah.
And I found myself in New York, right? I'm in theater school now.
Yeah.
In the bright lights, walking up and down Broadway, right? But it was the journey through college. And guys, this is where it hit me. This is where the real reframing happened. Year 1, year 2 of college passing, we're going through college, and it's time to, it's time to graduate. It's time for graduation. That's a time when family, friends, everybody's coming to graduation. And we're talking about it, and my parents are planning to come, but they never made it, matter of fact. They never came to my graduation. That's something I got to go back and talk about because, wow, they never made it, but the plans were. It probably be something financial. I don't know. But they never made it to my graduation.
Really?
I'm sure I'll talk to my therapist about that next week now that it just dawned on me. But they never came to my graduation. But that's not what started that space of reframing for me. It was when I started talking about them coming, my mom, my dad, my brother, and my friends were like, whoa, wait, what? Your dad? You have a father? Your dad is in your life? I had gone through these years of schooling and I never talked about my father. Wow. They knew about my mother. They knew about my younger brother, my grandmother who raised me, my cousins, they knew about my family. They knew nothing about my dad, and I didn't realize that I never talked about him, that I never spoke of him.
That's wild.
That was hurtful.
Yeah.
I went into a major state of guilt. You got to remember, this is pre-cell phone.
Yeah.
I schooled in the 90s, right? So this is like, you're in your dorm and you go out in the hallway waiting to use the payphone. Line up your quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, generational gap up in here.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't even have any quarters.
I know.
I haven't touched a quarter in 6 years.
You know what I'm saying? But it was a real thing. Realizing like, whoa, these are people who've gotten close to me over these years, and they don't even know my father exists because I never talked about him.
Crazy.
That was heartbreaking for me.
And for them to say they assumed he was dead just shows how much you weren't talking about him or mentioning him. You're right. I can see how that impacted you so much.
When I say it was a deal breaker of identity, it was a deal breaker of identity. I said, I do not want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Neko, how did you actually reframe all of that trauma and all of that HE double hockey sticks, that you went through with your dad? When I started to reframe my daddy's journey, how he got to where he was, via looking back at my grandparents, understanding that he grew up in a house that was a little bit tumultuous in there. I began to understand like, oh, Dad grew up with his grandmother. So did I, but for different reasons. I sought compassion for him intentionally. I stopped viewing him as monster, and I start to see him as a compassionate man who did not know how to show that. And when I was forced to see myself in that same light, there's some people who need to see compassion for Neko. There's some folks along this journey of life that I've hurt. I sold drugs to people. That's something that I've always been reckoning with. That, for me, reframe how I viewed my dad.
Yeah. Stevie Wonder came in at the right time.
He came in at the right time.
Stevie
Saturn
Wonder.
saved my
Yeah.
life, man. There's more Stevie involved in
Yeah.
that. We'll definitely get to that.
Stevie, come on in.
Come on in, Stevie. What it did, though, was put me on this journey of everything in my life. Every trauma that I had experienced, it was about reframing all of it.
Yeah.
Right? Reframing all of it, thinking about like, is the way I'm thinking about this helping me in my life? Is it aiming me toward the purpose, the purpose-driven life I know God has for me? Or is it holding me hostage?
Yeah.
And we know the answer because it had done that for years. It had held me hostage. And I know family, those of you who are out there who are listening, who are watching right now, take a pause for a quick second. Just take a pause and send this episode to someone that you care about. They need to hear this. They need to hear this because somebody out there is going through the same thing where they need to reframe their trauma.
I wanted to add, there's reframing trauma, and then there's something I had to do before I reframed it, which was recognize it. Because I spent my entire life until last November, maybe a little more than that, but
Wow.
I didn't even know I had trauma. I'm kind of on the other end of the spectrum. I was burying my traumatic events and saying, well, that's not bad enough. Or other people had way worse experiences than me. So what am I going to do? Say I got to heal from that? Yes, you need to recognize your trauma. Then you can reframe it. Don't downplay what you've been through. Pay attention to the painful moments. Allow yourself to explore them. Because take it from me, you don't want to miss your Kairos moments.
You don't.
If you would have missed reframing that night where you were listening to that album, you wouldn't. That was a Kairos. You needed that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
We wouldn't be here.
recognize it. Yeah.
we wouldn't be here.
Yep.
You know, so and to that end, you know, Caleb, it's where we all need to start. Realizing, recognize,
Yeah.
trauma is not a bad thing. God allows it
Yes.
to get us to the next place,
Yes.
the next place, the next point in life that brings us together. I would love to say in the perfect world that the three of us are here together because we've had a journey of nothing but wonderful yellow brick roads of triumphant acts along the way, but it's not, right? We're here because of the things that did not feel good along the way, but we have an opportunity to help others out there realize that you do not have to live that way.
Yeah.
You can make a decision today to reframe how you think of the trauma that you've lived, that you've endured, right?
Yep.
The fact that you have breath in your body means that you've endured it. And now it's time for the next step, right? A big help I'm hoping for everybody out there will be simply, and we can start it with us. I want to hear really quickly from us, just the thought of like, not how you necessarily jumpstart your day, but how do you thought start your day? What do I mean by that? What's the inner monologue that you wake up with
Yeah.
and start your day with? What is that inner monologue? Does it speak to purpose? Does it speak to vision? Does it speak to faith that we'll need on this journey of ambiguity?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Right? Max, for you, how do you thought start your day?
Yeah, a lot of times it's I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. It's I wake up with a to-do list.
Yep, that scroll.
And I'm immediately thinking, how am I going to get this done? So then I can then get this done, so I can get this done. And I start the chain reaction, the infinite regress of things I have to do each day.
Yeah.
Because I'm a busy guy. But
Yeah, you are.
I think I need to reframe that, actually. I think if it just becomes about the tasks, you can lose sight of the purpose. You can lose sight of the rest. The other things you need, the balance in life.
Talk about rest, man. For real.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a process for me. That's a challenge for me, is constructing that balance in my life, which speaks to purpose, I think.
That's good that you realize it, though.
Yeah.
You realize it.
How do you find that balance? How does that play into the Kairos stuff, the purpose stuff?
What pushes you to the constant grind? Because
That's great.
sometimes I want to be pushed to the constant grind more. I have the talent of being able to sit on my couch and look at Instagram for 9 hours straight. That's a talent of mine.
And I need more of that.
You can sit there and
opposites.
edit for 48 hours straight
Wow.
without taking a sip of water. So,
Wow.
but what pushes you to that constant grind, do you think?
Ah, man, I don't know. Maybe I need to go to therapy.
It's a beautiful thing.
I have kind of a one-track mind sort of thing. Like, in some point in my childhood, I just got obsessed with creativity, with art, with filmmaking, with music, and I know you share the same passions, and so do you, of course, Neko, with in the film world. I don't know. I just got obsessed with it. There's probably a Kairos moment in that.
Yeah.
No, there
Yes.
it is though, because here's the thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with being upset. I think we actually need a healthy dose of obsession. I mean, if you ever read Steve Jobs' his book, his autobiography, that's what he talked about. I mean, look around us, all the Apple products and things, around us. But he said he found the thing that made him tick, and he totally obsessed. He obsessed over it. And that's why we have these wonderful phones and gadgets and things now. So I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with the obsession of it, as long as that obsession is a healthy obsession, because it can't exist in a world or a bubble just by itself. You prefaced a little bit of it earlier, Max. There needs to be the balance of rest. Rest is a part of the human makeup in terms of how healthy we remain.
Yeah.
Mental health, physical rest, mental rest, emotional rest, spiritual. Woosah.
Yeah.
Just chill. Don't think so much. Don't do so much. Just back away from the keyboards.
Yes.
Back away from those intentionally.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, it's not everything we're talking about and saying here. It's not a snap your fingers, quick fix thing. It is a process. But it is a moment of clarity that you have to get in the midst of that process, that it has to come. And those are the Kairos moments. They're simple.
Yeah.
But they're a combination of all of those moments that turn into a greater sense of purpose.
Yeah.
I see it now. So the idea, Max, of spending hours, because you do, I know you do, spending hours in front of that computer editing, and you're remarkable at it. You are, listen, don't get me started. You're a genius at what you do, and I'm glad that God has you as a part of this construct, and our team. It's amazing. You guys stay busy. I stay busy. Man, I cannot tell you how great of friends I have become with just sitting and breathing.
Really?
I am so serious, dude.
Really?
I'm talking about literally just sitting. I have this cool gold chair at home that I just sit in this gold chair.
Yep.
It's my daughter's play chair now, but it was the chair I bought for me to have peace in.
Yeah.
Right? So it's great. And I sit in that chair, and I literally just have like 4 or 5 minutes of just like breathing. There's something about getting in tune with myself just from breathing, not thinking about and I start the day like this.
Yeah.
Not thinking about what's on the calendar, what I got to scroll to and figure out, I did this, check this off. Any of that stuff, just breathing, connecting to that. Dude, it does something for me that connects me. It plugs me into my day, which plugs me in to everyone who will be a part of my day, even the strangers that I'll come across.
Yeah.
But it's intentional. It's intentional. That's how I start my day, breathing in a place of like, rest
Yeah.
is vital.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Caleb?
Yeah. Well, I never do that.
I never breathe. I'm not breathing now.
Yeah. But it's like a skill that I want to develop. It is a skill. To sit there and just breathe, be in your own mind, teach your mind it's okay to be still.
That's right.
But
that's so good. Whoa. You can't just run past that.
All right.
Teach your mind to just be still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead. Talk about that.
I'm kind of hung up on the teach your mind part. That's something that I learned recently. Our subconscious is always churning. Our subconscious is doing something at all times, and we can't control what it throws.
God,
It
yes.
feels like we can't control what thoughts it's throwing to us, but we can by intentionally giving our subconscious the thoughts to focus on. If you were kind of touched on this earlier. If you sit there all day and tell yourself, I'm anxious, I'm worried something bad is going to happen, your subconscious is like, well, what if this happens? Or,
right.
well, what if that happens? It's trying to help you. It's trying to protect you. All that said, here's how I starting my day every day to this original question. Shout out my counselor for giving me this one. Can't say his name.
You won't say his name.
Won't say his name. I start every day. I try
me.
to. Yeah, it's Max. Thanks for coming. I try to start every day with, God, what do you have for me today? So that just opens your mind.
So good.
And that's where purpose and faith collides.
There it
You're
is.
essentially saying, it's up to God, whatever my purpose is for today, and string those together for 365 days. You got a year of just asking God, I'm going wherever you tell me.
Love that.
Yeah, I was starting every day with, I don't know. I gotta do something.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
was finding I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the best decision was, so I was unfulfilled. That's where I developed the phrase "seek God, not fulfillment."
I love
and
that.
it leads to fulfillment.
Yeah.
Actually, my counselor told me that phrase too. So
Yeah, no, but it's great though because it sounds like you got to a place of stop. You were no longer asking for permission to be great.
Ooh, wow.
Because that's
Yeah.
what we do sometimes. We're seeking validation from others, even from ourselves, to be great when we don't realize, like, no, you were born great. What happened is along the way, circumstances, people, i.e. parents,
Yeah.
and the likes of that, condition us
Yeah.
in a way to where the greatness we were born with starts to take form and shape differently.
Yes.
And we start to ask for permission to be the actual being that God created us to be.
Wow.
And we, through this process that we've been talking about today, gets us back to that.
Yeah.
It gets us back to the identity that God really wanted us to walk in from Jump Street. I truly hope that what we've talked about today, what we've shared today in this premiere episode, really touches somebody out there
Yeah.
and gets them, even if they're not ready to go down that road of chasing these Kairos moments and thinking about what they are and that's going to lead me to my purpose. Even if you're not there yet and ready, I hope what you heard and watched here today have at least made you curious.
Yeah.
Curious that there's something else to my life. There's something else to this thing called life. Now, we hope that purpose is your destination, that you truly take the moment, take the time to love yourself enough, right?
Yes. Yes.
To do the work. To do the work.
Yeah.
And say I think it's time for me at age ... to start seeking out this purpose thing.
Yeah.
And you always got the opportunity to join us here, helping us continue to chase our Kairos as you chase your Kairos.
Yeah.
This has been so great, guys.
It has been incredible.
Keep chasing
Hey.
and stay tuned because we got some exciting stuff planned that
Oh, yeah.
we haven't even hinted at.
Oh, God. Y'all have no
Yeah.
clue. That's my word.
Yeah.
You can use it. You have no clue
You have no
what you
idea.
guys are in store for.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be
Seriously.
amazing.
My early 20s, people out there, chase the Kairos.
Chase
it.
the Kairos.
I talk to people same age as me all the time that are just like, what is life? What am I doing? And I'm like, same.
Yeah.
chase it, dude. Chase it. There's
Yeah.
a purpose. There's a point. You matter. You got to chase it. Yeah, and you're going to be more fulfilled than ever.
That's
if
right.
You just take the leap of faith, like you said.
That's right.
Little something we want you to remember.
You matter, and you have so much to offer to this world.
So keep chasing your Kairos, because soon it's going to be chasing you. See you next time.